We all had an early vision of what our lives would look like, and then life actually happened. From marriage to motherhood, career dreams, and everything in between, this is Life Actually with Mary Bell. Louisa Vilardi is a multifaceted creative based in New York, working as both a portrait photographer and writer. Her work has been featured on prominent platforms including Scary Mommy, Love What Matters, Her View from Home, and Inspired Magazine. With a strong academic background in language and literature, Louisa spent over a decade as a high school English teacher before fully transitioning into her own creative work. She's also a published author and a playwright whose theatrical work has earned media attention, including coverage by NBC News. A former on-camera host of Celebrity Spotlight, she has interviewed notable figures such as Kathy Bates, Howie Mandel, and Craig Melvin in segments seen in doctors' offices nationwide. Louisa currently lives in Hopewell Junction, New York, but she is a former Jersey girl, such as myself. She is a wife, and she has 3 sons, and she does all of that. Welcome to Life Actually with Mary Bell and Louisa Vilardi.
Hello. So happy to be here.
I can't believe you're here.
I'm so happy that I'm here.
This is now my first thing that is notable to me is that you did not put Alfonso Ribeiro.
I know. He's on the list, but I just...
Do you know who Alfonso Ribeiro is? Carlton Banks. Yeah. Carlton Banks, you interviewed him as well.
I did.
I smiled big when I saw that when she sent me her website that has all of these interviews that she's done. And another one of my favorite things about Louisa is how much I continue to find out about you the longer that I know you. So real quick, just to tell everybody how Louisa and I met. I first of all find myself very lucky to know you.
Oh, you're so sweet.
Jay, Marina, and I were on a cover of a local magazine, East Fishkill Living. Shout out to Jeannie. And Louisa was in charge of taking our photos. So we were interviewed by Jeannie. Louisa comes to the house to take pictures of Jay and Marina and I. And you're just so sweet when you arrive. Your exact personality that I now know is your personality. And we're talking all about my books and our life. You never once mentioned that you are a writer yourself, which I, again, have now come to know. This is just how you operate. You are like silent thunder, and you keep your cards close to your chest, and you just learn more and more and more about you the more that you know you. But really, to start from the beginning, as I said, Italian-American Jersey girl with a lot of Italian history and culture in your family. Yes. Tell everybody, just kind of start from the beginning, who you are and where you came from.
Oh gosh. So if you want to know a fun fact, my maiden name is Louisa Luisi. You know?
I love that about you.
For 30 years, I was Louisa Luisi, named after my grandmother, who I never met, my dad's mom. I only met one of my grandparents. My mom had me pretty much later in life, so I only met a few, my one grandfather, but the rest of them had passed. But anyway, grew up in an Italian-American family. My parents and my brother were born in Italy. My other brother was born here, and I was born here. Really spoke a lot of Italian in the house, and that's where my love of language and literature really came from. Was growing up in a house where my parents were, they had no education. They could really hardly read or write, and only spoke Italian, very little English, very broken English. You could understand them and have a conversation with them, but it was broken and not good English.
Can you please tell the story of where Louisa Luisi, when I was doing the what was it called? What did I do? Stage directions for a play. You were explaining to everybody how your name didn't it get messed up?
It did get messed up because my parents did not write my name on the birth certificate. The nurse did. Okay. So the nurse wrote Louise on the birth certificate. And when I turned 17, I needed my birth certificate to get my license. So my grandmother was Louisa, and I was Louisa my whole life. And I went to get my birth certificate, and I opened it up, and I said, "Who the fuck is Louise?" And my dad said, "No,
everybody is why we are friends."
My dad said, "No, the E in America in English is the A." I said, "No, it's not. No, it's not." I said, "Great." I went from being Louisa to now Louise, who to me at 17 years old sounded like an 85-year-old woman with 600 cats.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, never changed it. So that's it. That's it legally, but nobody knows me as that.
Right.
You know, nobody knows me as that. But I have like handed a credit card over during dinner with friends who like don't know me that much and then would say like, who is this? Or did they mess up your name on the credit card? I'm like, fucking A. Now I gotta explain this.
Well, that's kind of cool though too, because between writing and obviously like you've done acting.
Yeah.
So a little bit of that is taking on different characters. So
Right.
we go from Louise to Louisa with no problem.
I mean, nobody knew me as Louise. It just was stupid. And my brother was supposed to be Felice, and they wrote Felix.
Oh my
so
God.
he's Felix, but he's not Felix. Nobody calls him that, you know?
I love Felice.
Yeah. So that was my grandfather. So,
Okay.
you know, but that's what happens when you can't write, you know? So.
Well, yeah, but then also the Italian American, like the culture behind that, I love that you had so many close relatives that came over from Italy.
Yes.
You speak fluent Italian.
Yeah, I mean, it's dying. It's dying because my parents are gone. So, you know, it's I still speak it and it's fine, but nothing like when my parents were alive. It was daily.
Yes. Okay. And so a lot of people had asked when I put in an Instagram story, what would you like to know? Everybody sort of put a generic, like, how did you get into writing and photography? Obviously, I introduced you and you began as an English teacher, but did you know back when you were studying in college that this was the path that you wanted to take? How did you get to this specific?
I did not know I was going to be 42 years old and have my own business and be a photographer.
Okay, what did you envision?
I was going to be an English teacher for, you know, I was going to be in that world for the rest of my life.
Okay.
I got my bachelor's, then I got my master's, and then after my master's, I went and got my certification to be a supervisor of an English department.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm just going to teach for a while, then I'm going to supervise an English department or an arts department or something, right? I love management and all that stuff. So I'm like, oh, that's what I'll do. I'll do that until I retire, and then I'll have a beautiful like retirement party at the Women's Club in Ridgewood. And
You had it all planned out.
I had it all planned. You know, and that was my life. I did not know this is where I would be. I've always loved photography, but it's very difficult when you're younger to think that a hobby can be a career. You know, so and like I said, language was so important to me. I watched two of the people I love the most struggle with language and social skills because of it and things like that. So language was really important to me. The English language, which is the hardest language to
And
learn.
then what was it though when you were teaching? When did you make that leap? Because I think a lot of people listening, a lot of people are very complimentary of my journey of, you know, just becoming an author, self-published author, and now podcasting, and, you know, and now I did take on a remote position in order to help financially. So when you take these risks, it's never linear. There's always these like ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
So a lot of people had asked in my in the Instagram responses, how did you know when it was the right time to do this?
So I didn't necessarily know. I had a baby. I had my first son, and I took a maternity leave. So the school district I was working in gave me a year maternity leave.
Oh, wow.
And then about 4 months after I had Mario, my mother died. And I came home and I had a very brief discussion with my husband. And I said, all I said to him was, I'm so confused. You work your ass off your whole life, right? You work your ass off, you raise a good family, you raise great kids, and then you just die. And he's like, I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And I'm like, well, I don't want to grade shitty Catcher in the Rye essays for the rest of my life. You know, like I was like, this is it. Like, I'm just going to like do this for the rest of my life and then I'm going to die. And it sounds dramatic, but it's actually kind of true, you know, because like you have to pick something that you're really passionate about if you want to end up in the end being like, okay, if I die right now, I'm good, you know?
I say that often.
Yeah.
I say that to Jay all the time. I'm like, if I were to die tomorrow, I just would like you to say at my funeral, she did everything she wanted to do
Right.
in the time that I had, even though you want more time always.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's interesting that we're going slightly morbid, but to know Louisa is to love her. And we will actually end up getting that.
Yeah.
This episode is going to be 2 parts.
Okay.
The first is really like a get to know you and obviously how you got here. And I have fun stuff to ask you. But
Oh, yeah.
the second part, I won't say it now, but from what I've learned about you is everything that you sort of like about your parents dying and not wanting, you know, just being an English teacher or Catcher in the Rye essays to be your thing before you died. There is something special about that I find to be one of my favorite traits and friends that I have. Not to waste your life away and like always just push yourself to do more and realize that you're more capable of what you think you are.
Absolutely.
Because we have one go at this. You
Right,
know?
yeah.
And you hope that you're going to reach 80, 85, 90, 95. None of us know.
I don't think I am.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well,
I don't know if I want to because like I don't know. I want to get to like the age where I can think and say and speak and do all the things instead of like, suffering. But anyway, so that's really how this whole thing began, right? I was like, oh my God, I want to raise my kids. If my mother was alive, she would want me to raise my kids. And I did that. I raised Mario and he was a baby. And I said, I'm not even speaking full sentences. Like Dave would come home from work at 5, 6 o'clock and I'd still be in my pajamas, And it was a tough time. I just had a baby. My mother had just died. It was just a really shitty time. And I knew I loved taking photographs. So I started taking photographs and thinking, could this be a thing?
Had you started writing yet at that point?
I've been writing since I can remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Writing was always a thing.
But like screenplays and books?
Yeah. Just really more plays, stage plays. Yeah. I've written one screenplay, but
stage
play.
Okay. I don't know the difference between those.
Screenplays for film.
Screenplays,
stage plays is for theater,
okay.
live theater. Yeah.
Got it. And I have been lucky enough to be at 2 of your plays.
Yeah.
And again, there's a little bit of I'm a happy-go-lucky kind of find the positive in person.
Yeah.
And we match each other and balance each other well because you are a little bit like you call yourself sort of Dr. Doom in certain ways. Like, and we'll talk about that later when we talk about the type of stuff that you write because it really is beautiful.
Thank you.
But like tragically beautiful.
Yeah.
So we know you as a photographer.
Yeah.
And we know you as a writer. Mm-hmm. Which of those things do you prefer?
I think I'm both.
Okay,
I really
equally.
am. Yeah, like even my Instagram has like photographer and writer, and I won't separate them. Like I won't do another page for writing. I am a writer and a photographer, and I think they go hand in hand.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I'm telling, I don't just put people in front of the camera and tell them to look and smile. Everything is really storytelling with me.
Yeah, you tell a story through a picture. I feel the same way. Whether it's pictures that I take myself, I'm lucky enough to have you that does my branding, photography. You do all my photography, and I think you do a fantastic job when you capture me, Jay, Marina. You know us as a family, but like your very huge skill is meeting people for the first time. And I think you have an incredible intuition about you of just people that are strangers. But then also, I feel like you sort of determine quickly when you meet somebody, I would like this person in my life.
Yeah.
I trust you versus, yes, I could be friendly to you right now because we're business and it's professional. But if I never saw you again, I'd be fine with that.
Right.
Do you think that is true of yourself, that you have just like this very good intuition? And are you sort of like that where, because I feel like you've done that with me, like we just got close very quickly and we trust each other and that happened rather quickly, I feel. Do you do that generally? And do you think that's a little bit of an Italian-American?
I do think it's a little Italian-American.
Yeah.
But it is definitely very Louisa. Like I don't let everybody in. I know a lot of people. That doesn't mean I've let you in. And I assess people very quickly.
For the good or the bad.
For the good or the bad.
Claudia will learn what she assessed you when we're done here.
I'll let you know. Or you'll know. You'll know. But I feel like this is how I look at people. I think if you want to be friends, you have to be willing to like carry my shit with me. And I have to be willing to carry your shit too. Because everybody comes with baggage. And unfortunately, I carry like a very heavy load of shit. And I think if I meet someone and I know like they're willing to be with me and carry that with me and understand that this is the shit that I come with, then you're in, But
well, I think people who know you well too, like you have a bunch of stuff that you're carrying, but you're also hugely supportive and like a personal cheerleader for the people that you believe in.
Yeah.
You've helped make me feel like that. Like even when it was coming to my house to take pictures for my books and you're like, oh, this is so great and wonderful. And like, I didn't even know of you, how wonderful of a writer you are. So
Thank you.
Made me feel even more supported and like really like just happy. Like, wow, somebody who writes as well as she does and is as successful as she is all those things. I didn't even know that you interviewed all those people, by the way. Like, I'm reading her bio. Again, we are good friends, but she does not just, outrightly tell people all these accolades that she has.
Well, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Hand you my resume?
I don't know.
Right? And say, do you want to be friends with me? Should I do that? You want to be friends with me? Here's my resume.
I think you have a very freaking fantastic resume.
Thank you. I'm proud of everything that I accomplished. I am. I really am proud of everything that I accomplished. I just don't necessarily openly talk about it.
Right.
know?
But what's the best part about aging and also being confident in what you're doing and how you're doing it is the more, again, a lot of this is social media based, but you very confidently and humbly post your skill sets of how your pictures turn out, the projects that you're working on, the events that you're a part of, the screenplays, the stage plays. It's all there for people to see. And Best of Hudson Valley portrait photographer last year, right?
And this year.
Yes.
I won.
You did?
Yeah.
Ooh.
2 years in a row.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
And that is okay. Hey, vote for me if you'd like, but you're not out there polling people or,
Right.
Patrolling for them to get your votes. That means a lot. And I'm really proud of you. I
thank
know
you
we
so
haven't
much.
known each other that long, but I know that our bond is just a strong one. And this is for anybody listening. These are the types of people you need to surround yourself in life, the ones that are supportive of you and your endeavors, but also that they're her stature. She's just so talented and accomplished. I want to be better because I'm in your presence.
Oh,
and I
that's so
think
sweet.
as we age, it's very important to surround
Is
yourself.
she flirting with me? You think she's
I
flirting?
might be. I am a romance author. As we're getting older, part of another question is, how have you learned to sidestep negativity and removing yourself from potentially shitty groups or situations? So the completely opposite of when you find somebody and you're like, yes, I like you and I trust you and I
Right.
want to let you in.
Yeah.
How, as either a business professional or even personal, because I find this too, as your kids are in school and there's a whole bunch of women that you meet and you generally know who's your vibe when you meet them.
Right.
And then there's other people that you sort of just have to be kind and, cordial to.
Yeah.
How do you balance, especially being sort of in the public eye, how to do both of those things?
I don't know. Like I said, I meet and know a lot of people. That doesn't mean I break bread with them, So so I keep them at a very professional distance, and that's really what I do. There's my outer circle and my inner circle,
And I think it's important to separate.
Yeah, and a lot of those people that I do keep at a distance that's not a negative thing. That's just our kids play sports together, or or I just meet you professionally. We're working on a project together. That's great, and we have a great time, and we're cordial, and we're both congenial and wonderful. And then, but that doesn't, like I said, that doesn't mean we're going home and then having dinner together.
But I think a lot of that has to do with bandwidth. The older that we get, you don't have that much free time,
right?
I find that all the time. I have a handful of best friends and then a few local friends that I like spending my time with. I don't have any more personal time to spend making just above and beyond. And this is not a negative thing. I don't want to be friends with you. This is for people listening when you're feeling overwhelmed, the moms of the world, the business professionals of the world, whether you have kids or not. We get to a certain age where we're either commuting or we're working or we're doing mom stuff or we're building businesses. You run out of bandwidth, you run out of time, and you have to be very selective with what you spend your time on and intentional. That's a lot of people behind mics these days, when you're trying to be motivational and inspirational to other people, it is being very intentional with your time.
Right.
And I think that's basically what we're saying here. What you're saying is I have to be intentional with who I'm spending my time with. Exactly.
And this is really important too. And I think people will probably relate to this, but growing your family and then meeting your kids, friends, parents, and then sports parents and things like that. It's really challenging because it kind of brings me back to high school a little bit, right?
Yeah.
There's cliques and there's groups and who hangs out with who and who does what sport and who does what activity. And I think that it brings me back to high school. I was not the popular girl in high school, homecoming queen, anything like that. I was the nerdy theater girl. I was I always say I wasn't pretty until my wedding day, but I mean it. And I'm not saying that because I want you to say, oh, you're beautiful.
You're beautiful.
No, I mean it. I was not who I am now. So it's it brings me back. And you have to think, these people that you bring into your life, do you want to share, do I want to share with them that, I do carry some trauma with me and things like that, I have to really trust that person to share that with them, So.
And it takes, I think, a certain person to have interest in you and your life. And then again, like I said, realize all the wonderful that you bring to the table. And every single human being has good and has their, as you said, baggage, shit, whatever.
Yes, everybody does. Everybody has that,
Yeah.
And you just have to be willing to, say, this is my friend and I will. It's a relationship. Like, even though it's not a marriage, right? It's a friendship, and it takes work and energy and love and caring, and those are the people that do come and eat at my table,
I love it.
Yeah. The rest of them, I'll meet you for coffee. But
Coffee only, no bread, no carbs. You know that the love is there when the carbs come out on the table.
Yes.
Erica asked a question, and she said, this is going to be a good segue really into how you balance everything. But what does a realistic day in the life look for you, and how do you balance it all? Which is funny because I forget what conversation we were having, but somebody had said the same thing. Like, how do you do it all? What does your realistic day look like? And I know from my own days and from yours, it's very difficult. And does it feel pressure when you hear somebody even assume that you feel like you can do it all?
Well, I can do it all. I can. I do it all, and it's hard, and it's a balancing act. But yeah, a realistic day in my life, every day looks different. Sometimes I have things planned, and then someone has pink eye, or someone has an ear infection, or it's just shit gets all scrambled up. But listen, we're moms, and we're moms for a reason. This is the reason why God let us carry children in our bodies, and then somehow by some miracle, then they come out of our bodies somehow, and then we're like, here you go, world. This was in my body, but now
it's kind of wild. I was looking at somebody who was pregnant the other day, and I was looking at, I'm like, wow, you're growing a human in there, and I'm like, wait a second, I've done that already. Yeah. But you forget you just you forget, but you don't forget. Yeah. And it is amazing though too. I think another thing about you, obviously, we spoke about your parents not being here, which we'll get more into in part 2, but you're doing it all. And how important is it to have support of, especially your spouse, because your support system, you want to be adopted by my mother.
Yes.
You really don't have that many, right?
No, I mean, I have my in-laws are wonderful. They're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But my mother-in-law has 8 grandkids.
Oh my.
So it's just that's also another balancing act. And I want to be, aware of the time that she has with all the grandkids, so I don't ever want her to feel like she has to watch my kids or help with my kids, but she always does, and she's wonderful. But that's all we have, really. We have my in-laws. My family lives in New Jersey. Dave's siblings have their own kids, but we have wonderful babysitters that help. And
well, that's the thing too. You have to branch out, and then you have to find the people that you trust. So you got to use that intuition to
absolutely
find the people that you trust with your kids. Yeah. But Dave is super supportive as well.
Oh, Dave is I couldn't live my life the way I'm living it without my husband. Yeah.
He's fantastic. I've met him before. He's super smart. Just super savvy, and the two of you together, you're just intelligence beyond.
Thank you.
And again, I feel super lucky to know the both of you and how much you have both helped me through. So balancing career with motherhood and wife, it's a nice segue into part 2. So I think we'll stop there for now. Part 2 will come out next week. We have to break it up a little bit for purposes of this recording session, but for anybody watching part 1 of your episode, tell them where to find you.
You can visit louisavilardi.com or louisavilardiphotography.com and follow me.
On the gram. Louisa Vilardi Photography. Thank you guys for tuning in to part 1 of this fabulous episode with this fabulous, fabulous human. Stay tuned to next week for part 2 because it's going to get a little painful, but also beautiful. Stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, follow the full journey on social media at the handle mary.bell.books. And if you have need for audio-visual content creation and recording services, Howie Visions is located in Stamford, Connecticut, and can also be found on Instagram at CAYI Visions.